What's up, guys? Welcome to Real Estate Podcast, episode 223. I'm here with Griffith.
I'm here with Trav.
And I'm here with Adam.
This week we watched Quiet Place Part 2.
Deuce.
Yeah, there's something I got to say about A Quiet Place. Like, while I was sitting here watching the movie, I started thinking, when you just see them all tiptoeing around. But I was like, dude, when I was growing up, every Saturday, Sunday morning at my house was motherfucking A Quiet Place. Like, you better be quiet. You gonna get up early?
Man. Yeah.
You better be quiet.
You better learn how to sleep in. You know what I'm saying?
I did over time.
I watched this with one of my kids today, and we were both just expecting just pure dog shit. Went in with zero expectation, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Very surprised.
You know what surprised me?
The opening?
Yeah,
The
well,
90-minute
John
runtime.
Krasinski made a sci-fi flick. That was his first flick he made.
And a good one.
We know
at
that
that.
when we
It was-
watched
it
the
had-
first one, we don't know where these things came from. But when we
Yeah.
see
Well-
this one, we're like, oh, they're aliens.
And
Yeah.
even though it had its fair share of tropes, some of the
Like, why
tropes
didn't
that
he
I
cut
figured,
that rope with that knife he was holding? I mean,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
it's
Well,
a small film.
Well, one of the biggest things that I appreciate about the film is that, because, we're dealing with a mainstream film.
Yeah.
Very surprised they didn't try to write it for Cillian Murphy, who did a great job in the film
Great job.
despite the knife cutting.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't try to turn it into a love story.
Yeah. Well,
I
I
know,
thought
which
whenever she left her ring, I thought that was kind of saying, like, all right, I'm going to go back and try to make it work with this dude just so we could stay with him.
Right.
Y'all know what I mean? Like, she went back
Yeah.
and left her ring.
Yeah.
Well-
Because here's the thing. He wants them to leave, but if she throws it on him,
Oh yeah.
look at
I
them
mean, if
shine.
she threw it on me, yeah, I'm in it.
What was another thing that stood out great to me?
Did
I
y'all know?
like so you know how normally movies have foreshadowing?
I was about to bring one of those
I-
up.
I love their use of the mechanic in the film, and they even did it. Now
Well-
to think about it, they did it all right in the previous one too. And it's where they weren't like they obviously wanted you to focus on things because of the way the
Well-
movie has to present itself.
Whenever they go inside there to listen to that radio, and you see, they make you look at the fact that towel's there so it doesn't lock.
Yeah,
As soon as that happened, I was like, somebody's getting locked in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
For
you
sure.
call-
And it's probably
like,
going to be
I-
that kid. And then not double down, he's got the baby in there. And I'm like, oh, well, just turn the oxygen on. Let it leak in there. And it
Well,
was like, oh, yeah, but the scene before you noticed that the oxygen's low. And it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they did good of like instead of making it foreshadowing, I guess it was more of just visual aid.
just
Yeah.
enough to, like, make you feel uneasy. It's like, oh,
Oh,
don't let that
absolutely.
get locked.
I was really thinking, I was like, man, if they kill this baby in the movie,
Mhm.
like tip of the hat to Krasinski for going that far.
Yeah.
Because like the last third of that movie is you going, is the boy gonna die? Is the baby gonna die? Are they both
Well,
gonna die?
At the same
Yeah.
time, we're watching the boy and the baby's in danger, the mom's in danger, and they were bouncing back and forth between all of them.
It was very
Yeah, like,
well.
I'm
and,
like,
and they
wow.
only and instead of them having like a quote unquote headquarters, they turned it into just a place where the young can kind of take refuge, but it was mainly just used as a place for the characters to catch their breath
Mhm.
and really drive in the fact that when shit hit the fan in the first film, this is all still just a snowball of events from that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I went in like even thinking I wasn't gonna like this movie. I was so dead set against it, man. Like
Right.
I was
Well-
expecting us to get on here and we were just gonna, snort and fart
Yeah.
about how much this movie
Another
was dog
bullshit
turd.
Hollywood movie,
And if there was an agenda in the movie, they kept it so just all over the place that if there
I didn't
was a
see- I didn't
message,
pick
it
one
didn't
up.
matter,
Yeah.
And I hate that I'm like that with films these days. And it was refreshing that wasn't the case with this one.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
the first one we gave 3 stars. I just went and looked.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
gave it 3 stars. but
Yeah.
I was expecting this one not to be as good. You know, little
Right.
diminishing returns.
I do believe if the cast wasn't what it was, because even them kid actors, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if it wasn't Cillian Murphy and it wasn't Emily Blunt carrying this film, I really don't see how any other people performing it could pull it off. Because Cillian Murphy was perfect for this film. He's done these kind of films.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's a great character actor.
Yeah.
And I at first I didn't realize it was him. And then we get the Cillian Murphy hair in his eyes gazing out into the
Yeah.
unknown, and I'm like, yep, that's Peacock right there.
I mean, them eyes, dude. You can pick them eyes out of a lineup. I can anyway. You know.
Yeah.
I liked how they managed to make you give a shit about him really quickly.
Yeah.
Well, remember
And
in the trailer, what it looked like was that she was going to run into these people that were bad guys.
Yeah.
Y'all remember
Yeah.
the trailer? And it was like, oh, okay, so I already know what's going to happen. We're going to run into these bad guys because, you know, she's a woman,
Right.
got a daughter. They're going to
Obligatory
want to take
rape,
them, you know.
vibes
But
and
then
stuff.
when the
Yeah.
movie started, because in the trailer, you know, they show her grabbing his mouth and then they're in all this danger. Well, it was completely different. That
Mhm.
trailer threw
Yeah.
me off. Like, I was like, oh, it's not even what's happening here. Of course, we run into
Yeah.
that later, but that didn't last long.
Now, I
No.
think what makes the movie, I think what made the movie work, because I've been chewing on it since I watched it. I watched it around, I'd say around lunchtime today. So I've been kind of gestating it for a minute, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what was what was my initial thought, man? Because it's like, and I know we'll get to Kevin Smith later, but to quote him with Jay and Silent Bob rebooted, this was by and large the same goddamn movie as the first one.
Yeah.
It even ends the exact same fucking way,
Yeah.
but it's just more.
Well,
Yeah.
now we know where the things came from, kinda.
Yeah.
Like, well, like it was like they wanted more A Quiet Place, so they were like, well, let's just do the movie again.
Well, I'll even say this: what if
You know,
both movies are an hour and a half?
Mhm.
So what it kind of looks like was that it was a long script, and they were like, well, let's just bust it up into two instead of
Right.
having one really long movie. Because I don't know if I'd like to sit here and watch this for 3 hours.
Yeah.
no,
But an hour and a
man,
half, on the
no.
other hand,
It's a little bit more
okay,
digestible.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, it harkens back to the movies that it's influenced by, like good old fashioned creature features that were just a 90-minute hit. You can watch it while you're eating lunch, then go on about your fucking day.
Yeah.
Instead of having to like form your day around a 2 to 2.5 hour film.
Right.
And I mean, I applaud what they were able to do in an hour and a half for the type of demographic and type of, AAA style movie that is not an IP, which I mean, I guess it's becoming one now,
Yeah.
or like not IP, but a franchise. But, very surprised that didn't suck.
Yeah. Well, and remember when we watched A Quiet Place, we all enjoyed it, gave it the stars and everything. And then not long after that film came out, there was some movie news that we went over where it's like, Krasinski said that he has an idea for a sequel. And it got it got great reviews. It made a ton of money, and they were talking about it. And then we got on there and we were like, why would they ever sequelize this?
yeah.
Like, this is,
Like you
it's like
already
trying
did
to
it.
make, yeah, it's like trying to make a sequel to Get Out. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Or Us. It's
Yeah.
like, it kind of stands on its own for what it is. And I think it does a good job at doing that. But like Trav said earlier, I was very pleasantly surprised because I went in with lowered
Oh
expectations, of
yeah.
course, because I'm like, well, how can they progress this film forward? And then whenever I saw how they opened the film, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, now you got my attention.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it went forward from there, and you actually see more of the world, but it also it plays the same message into it from the first film, which is like the takeaway. This goes back to what Trav was saying earlier. It's like what's the takeaway or the agenda of it? And it's like, well, the biggest takeaway that I kind of took from it was the fact that like everything was hinging on the fact that this girl that is deaf
Yeah.
is the only one that can save it because she's just like she's the opposite of what they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it was really, really well written
And her
in a way.
shot, that shot at the beginning of the film on day one,
Mhm.
the sequences whenever that
Oh, when
initial
he comes
attack hits
running
the
back to the
town,
truck and she's sitting there like all like willy
all the
nilly because she can't hear
well,
anything.
well, did
Remember
you
that?
notice? Yeah, well, you notice those perspectives too? Like, and there was a
Yeah,
subtle moment that I thought was cool, where she's, it keeps cutting to her and she's deaf, but she sees all the chaos kind
yeah,
of unfolding. Um, the minute John Krasinski touches her, the sound
Yeah,
cuts back
yeah,
in,
that
and
happens
they
a couple of times,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
and I thought
That was cool.
that was a really cool transition from the audio,
Yeah,
aspect of it.
yeah.
Uh,
Here
something I noticed too. I'd like to ask John Krasinski if or whoever actually came up with these characters, and particularly the monsters, if they were inspired by War of the Worlds, because their weakness, like in War of the Worlds, was the dumbest fucking thing on the planet.
yeah,
They
exactly.
can't swim.
Yeah.
The
I
Like,
the
mean,
John Krasinski was one of the writers. It says Scott Beck and Brian Woods created the characters.
right.
at first when I saw it, I was like, man, that's a cheap way to be like, that's their weakness. When the whole film, you're like, no, dude, feedback is the fucking the weapon,
Yeah,
and you just have that brief moment where you're like, they can't swim,
Yeah,
yeah.
but boy, can they coast on a boat.
yeah,
Yeah, for real,
yeah. That
right?
was
Yeah.
at first when I saw that boat there in my mind, I pictured him fucking like on the edge of the boat, riding the boat with a fucking telescope, looking out. Like
Yeah, he's like, "Where we
And dude,
going?"
full steam
dude,
ahead.
and let's break down for a second. Let's break down how badass these monsters are,
They're
dude.
so
I love
cool, dude. When their head
how
opens up.
violent and quick they are. Like
Yeah,
it's not a situation where it's like, oh, let's get the army out. It's like, what army? They were dead because they just ambushed them, and like they're just lobbing motherfuckers left and right.
Let,
People getting thrown, torn to bits.
let me ask
yeah.
you
When
this: so
silly,
they're
when
killing
silly and
people, right?
when dudes, yeah.
They're kill. Is this their thing? Like, is their hearing so sensitive that they just want everything gone that can make noise?
Yeah, I think
Is
so.
that what it is? Like when they hear something, they just freak out. They're like, "Get that the fuck out of here!"
Yeah, that's how I took it.
Because there's plenty of stuff to eat. There's animals, whatever, but it's like anything that's loud has got to go.
Well, they weren't eating the people, they were
They were
just
just
killing
fucking
the
them up.
people. Or anything that made noise, they pounced on it, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean,
Um,
what if they were a
Something
let's I
sent in
mean,
to clean it out before something else comes.
yeah, or we could even because this movie does a lot of nods to old movies and styles of storytelling that like this could be the aftermath of a classic space mission goes to X place. Y component hitches a ride back on the ship, eviscerates everyone on the ship. Oh, it crashes into Earth. It's fucking flame resistant, so it survives the crash.
yeah,
It's agile as fuck. I mean, look at how it moves.
yeah.
And so it's just one massive accident that has spilled over into Earth.
I mean, that's a possibility, man.
But I mean, the whole thing is that like their weakness is clearly a range of frequency,
Yes.
and
Well,
so what if it's just that? I mean, because like the whole thing of like they need everything to be quiet. It's almost like maybe on their home world, everything was more tolerable because because the planet was on a whole different like spectrum of whatever physics,
yeah.
or
Well,
maybe or I don't know, like it I don't want a prequel. I love the mystery because I want to have these kind of talks and there not be a definitive answer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, man. It's like these creatures were kind of mindless, unintelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were intelligent to a fault, right?
Well, they were like reverse graboids from the Tremors
Yeah.
franchise.
Yeah. So it's like if this thing all right, let's take this theory as like, okay, something crashes into Earth, right? And that
Yeah.
it's not something that left Earth that's coming back.
Cool
Then
shot over the ballpark, by the
That was
way.
cool.
yeah. That means that something that has higher intelligence purposefully sent that shit there.
Yeah.
So that in itself is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and I
Because
mean, honestly, the extermination idea, I can't remember if it was Adam that said it or you, Griffin, a minute ago,
Was
but
me.
the idea of the extermination thing where you send it down and have it
Yeah.
wipe that's a fucking great
Anything that
idea.
makes noise,
I
get
mean,
rid of
that's
it.
what that's probably what we would do.
yeah,
Why hurt your own when you can send robots to do the messy work?
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I love in that opening shot where he parks the truck, goes in the grocery store or
Mhm.
the pharmacy, gets the fruit and stuff.
Shit
The
on the
what that
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when he leaves that the way the camera follows him,
Mhm.
but
Oh, on the street,
but
following
it's
him on the sidewalk.
yeah, but the camera will speed up sometimes and
Mhm.
then it'll slow down and it'll speed up and it's like it was a full tracking shot like on one continuous take, but the camera was never deadlocked with him at any time.
Mm-mm.
And we've seen a lot of shots like that where it's been one continuous shot where it focuses on like one specific character or one specific thing, but it's deadlocked to it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen it like that, and it really is a really cool effect, but it gives you this really uneasy feeling at the same time.
Oh, especially especially the interior shots of the vehicles when they're all trying to get away.
Oh my
And
god,
the
yeah,
way the camera was able to move just a little bit freely in it to kinda give you the different window perspectives.
yeah,
I thought that was yeah, that was that whole sequence, seen it a million times in a million other films, but the way they executed in this, it kept me on the edge of my seat a little bit.
oh yeah,
I was surprised at how this movie was able to have me immersed in it.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
really don't know why. And I think it's just because it is a unique idea. There's nothing else like these particular type of monster movie that's out there right now.
Yeah. I I mean, I think it was very well written, very well directed, very well acted. I mean, like, and it's hard. Like if you think about
Yeah.
it, it's especially that first film. It's like they make no noise. There's no dialogue other than sign language the entire time, and you're like, well, how the fuck does that work? And it's like you watch it, and it's like, well, this is kind of genius. Like
Mhm.
it's like a silent film to a fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they took that idea and then they stepped it up another level. But they had more like they actually showed you more of the danger of the noise, more so in this one than the other one. Because
Yeah.
like
Well,
when
w-
when that kid
where
runs through that
I was
fucking
about
bear
to bring
trap,
that up, dude. He acted his ass off, dude.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
I felt
absolutely.
that. Like,
I did
I
too.
was like, oh my
Before
God, it's in the bone. It's in the bone.
before before we get off on the kids' chops, because I think we know what the bad lieutenant decision of the film is with this kid. Um, but to go back to what you were saying, like the way that the sign language and everything, uh, something that I noticed that enhanced the creepiness in this one as opposed to the original was the way they enunciated it because it was so soft spoken.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
That when they would do it revved the tension up a little bit for me.
Yeah. And it didn't feel forced.
No, man, and I think by and large that has to do with the fact that we were used to Emily Blunt's performance in the first film, but just the chemistry that a married couple can have on screen, this is a set of films that show you how it can be a benefit.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Um
A bear trap, dude.
dude,
And
that
and
was
dude, can we appreciate out of all of the things that are gonna come in to play later, whenever they're sitting at the ball field and dude teaches dude how to say dive and sign,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was
whenever
cool when
like
they called that back.
that that was the
Yeah.
on your left moment of the movie.
Yeah.
And I thought I was like everything because after a few minutes I even just chimed in and just said it to the kid. I was like, pay attention to every inanimate object that this movie focuses on because it's gonna serve a purpose.
Yeah. And it does.
And sure enough, yeah, dude.
Mhm.
And yeah, just like you were saying about the vault, Adam, like the minute I saw that rag, I was like, somebody's getting locked in that
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Well, when it made a point to just zoom in on why the door didn't close. And I was like, oh, okay, that's all right. Somebody's getting locked. And then when I saw him taking that baby in there, I was like, oh no, I knew it was gonna lock. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, he's in a
They,
hurry. He's not gonna think of to
that
do the rag.
well, like the whole movie, I kept telling the kid, I was like, man, that baby is going to be the reason why someone dies in this film.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that it kind of wasn't.
I was
Yeah, I
surprised
know,
we didn't
right?
lose any of the main characters.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
four.
like
I was
no one,
surprised none of
no,
them died. Or the five.
yeah, no one necessarily died in this film, or none of the main people
Yeah,
that
out of the five. The
we're
no
the
names died. Some of those.
yeah.
Like the people on the island, dude, on the IMDb, that's what it says. Man on island, woman on island. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't give names to people they killed.
So the shot where they're coming up on Emmett, or Cillian Murphy, his character, when they're up in that little weird tanker area before everything gets established. Imagine, like, because the way the movie sets up is we see day one. After that happens, we get the cold opening, and then we're thrust forward to day 470 something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
give or take about a year and a half into the invasion, if that's what we'll call it. And at that point, none of the no one's. He even says it. There's a line where he goes, "I ain't never seen one of them dead before."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he
Im-
let them live and come
yeah,
when
and
they killed that
imagine
one.
like
That's what saved them.
imagine being there thinking, "Man, I'm about to have to clean house," because he let he reveals why he was distrusting and everything, and all the misunderstandings come into
And then
play
we
and all
see
that
why.
shit.
He's like, you don't know what those people are like out there now. And then
But
we
Yeah.
see them at the
imagine
dock. Like, it's like, oh yeah, they're
but
crazy.
but imagine being the dude that's up in the tower. You got your you're scoped in on them. You're thinking this is probably it. You lost your wife 11 weeks prior, and you lost your kids on day one. You're fucked. And
Yeah.
then you just see this deaf kid bust out a fucking earpiece and a fucking
A little practice amp.
a little practice amp
Yeah.
and straight fights these fuckers off. And like this woman and her kids fucking fight these things off and kill them. Imagine how fucking jacked up his mental state had to be at that point.
Yeah. Right. I mean, he was already a broken man.
Hmm.
like you said, he was already fucking almost giving up on the world, and then I would have been like,
Well, I mean,
I'm
he lays it out.
fucking
He's like, look, like, and that was a good way of introducing him as like, I'm not the guy that's gonna fuck you over in the film, because he's straight up like, look, you can't stay here. I ain't got
Yeah.
enough
I don't have
shit
the
for any. I
food. And
I
then
don't have anything for
plus,
myself. Yeah.
just thinking about having that baby around is like, I don't want to die.
yeah,
So
not
you guys
today.
got to go because these kids are
Uh,
loud.
when she cracks that fucking baby chest open
Yeah.
and like you see the look of don't want on Cillian
Yeah.
Murphy's
Yeah,
face.
he's
Like
like, get
he
that
doesn't
thing
say
out of
anything.
here.
He's backed into a goddamn Oscar in this 5 seconds, dude. But you can see it on his face where he's like, "Get the fuck out, dear God,
Cause
shut
that
that
baby
chest and
chest,
leave."
the first time, and we saw him carrying that
Yeah,
for a long time there, and then finally, and I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is that? Then finally they put that baby in, and I was like, oh, they found
yeah,
a way. They made their little quiet room they had portable.
yeah,
Remember they had a room that they had
yeah.
made
They
where you
had
could go in. Yeah,
and then at the end of that first one, they put the baby in there, and it was floating in that water.
yeah.
She went back in that um, flooded area at the beginning of the second
Yeah,
one
and
and got
picked
that
it up.
oxygen tank and shit. Yeah,
But I
but
was like, that's kind of
But
cool. Like, and then it actually worked. It was a good idea to have that. Like, it's a little baby
yeah,
chest, and we got oxygen going in.
and so we get the bottle trigger. We get the
yeah,
best memes set up for the run meme. The run. We see like that happens literally, and then we get one of the most excruciating shots in the film is when that kid fucking hits that bear trap.
Mm,
yeah.
Like
That was
that
some rough.
was like any time when you see the shit connect and you hear the
yeah.
crunch like twist, it'll get you every time, dude.
Well, and at first it's like he was in shock, and then
Yeah,
it
it
hit
didn't
him, and he was like,
register.
"Oh shit!"
Yeah,
Oh,
She's like,
dude,
"Please be
yeah.
quiet." He's like, "My fucking foot's in a bear trap. You be quiet." Like,
Like someone had to tell that kid, I'd be like, listen, this like we want you to scream, but we want to really drive this into you. This is the loudest moment in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing like what you did a few weeks ago when we did the vault scene. Do that out here, like,
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Here they come. They're coming." You have to
because
think, man. Like
that
the
was
more
blood
people
curdling,
that
dude.
die and the less people that are around, like the more dangerous it's gonna get. Because
Yeah. There's no distraction.
yeah, they're just listening.
Yeah.
That thing's head looked cool, man, when it opens up. That's a cool
It does.
design. Like
It is. Yeah.
when it walked past her when she shoots the
It
bottle,
it
and you
almost
see
had the
its ear.
same. It looked like it has the similar like whenever they were creating it, it's like they took the template from the Cloverfield monster and like stripped it down a little on the face and
Yeah.
and went crazy with the whole like it's just got a cochlea for a head,
Yeah.
like that little part of your
BBC,
ear.
boy.
Cochlea. Get out of
I
here.
think
you
I
cock-
think I'm pronouncing it right. I think I could be
Cochlea.
wrong.
Beyond
Cochlear,
the
I think
sea.
that's what it is.
Beyond the sea.
But
Somewhere.
it's just a massive.
Huh?
Yeah, and
So
that's the type of implant that little girl had.
yeah. So I don't see the budget on here, but this shit
I
made
saw the budget.
how much was the budget?
Hang
Let me
on,
guess.
it's right here.
Let me guess.
All
I'm
right.
gonna say the budget for it was 50 million.
What do you think, Trav?
I'm gonna say it was conservative. I don't have a number, and I know it sounds like bullshit, but I just feel like the best answer is that it had to be cheap in the terms of under 100 million.
All right, between 55 to 61 million. I also know the box office. You already know that.
I saw that a minute
Yeah,
ago.
281.
Yeah.
So
So the budget for the first one was
Mhm.
around 17,
yeah,
and then it made 350. Now, I think that the sequel probably would have made more than the first one if there wasn't like real life aliens infected humans here on Earth. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? if you picking up what I'm putting down here,
yeah. I didn't even realize that first one was 2018. I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah. And all right, that one was supposed to come out in 2020, but
Yeah,
you know, we kind of
Andy.
got fucked. Yeah, we got pandied. So I'm interested to see what Krasinski does going forward. I think that he's a fantastic director.
He's proven himself.
Yes, and he kind of it's that same Peel thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Comedy.
Yeah.
Decided
Like
to do
wow,
something a
you
little different.
um
And
what was it? I saw on the trivia for the second movie. He didn't want to make a second. He was
right,
already like, But one of their producers was like, bro, just think about it. Like, did some kind of pitch, and he was like, all right, we might do it.
yeah,
I'm kind of glad they did.
yeah. Well, and I'm glad that Cillian Murphy, like that pretty much made the movie for me. Because we saw the kids and
Hmm.
and what's her fuck in the first one. They did a fantastic job in that one, Emily Blunt. But it's like, all right, you got Jim from The Office, and then he's gonna get fucking butchered. Like, what can you bring in that's the same, if not more, of a powerhouse than him?
Yeah.
That isn't someone that's gonna like, I don't know, have intense star value. You know what I mean?
Uh,
And they definitely picked the right person for the job, man. He felt like a good old boy
yeah.
that had been living in the shit.
You remember the other
So,
night, you said you'd watch the movie, and I was like, I hadn't seen it yet. And you was like, well, it's probably gonna be the last one. You were like, I don't see how
yeah.
they would make another one, and I'm almost certain that for sure won't happen. Like
Yeah.
they were probably happy with what they got the second one. I mean, I'm sure everybody else will like it. But at the end there, when you see her watching him, kill that thing, and then at the same time the girl's killing the other one,
Yeah.
and it's like they're both sitting there watching them. It's like they're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
kids, they'll be able to handle themselves. And then I just picture them like in my head. I picture the girl and the boy like when they grow up, they may like go out and kind of fight these things.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be
You know what I
awesome,
mean?
right?
Like I'm not
Yeah.
saying it should be a movie, but in my mind, I
No,
was like,
no.
they're gonna fucking go fight those things when they get older. They're
Yeah.
gonna, get them a fucking speaker. Or what would be better is like a bullhorn. Those fucking things they use to disperse crowds.
Yeah.
That
No,
sonic
dude.
fucking noise thing.
The car from the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
With that giant
They even
fucking
have tanks
speaker.
with that thing on them.
I mean,
Like when you
shit.
point it at something.
Yeah.
And that's like supersonic. So it would probably just make their head pop.
Yeah.
But now what they can do, everyone in the world just tune into that radio station and turn
Yeah.
that shit up. Dude, feedback's gonna save the day.
Yeah. Feedback. Where the fuck was damn all the
Yeah.
metal band practice?
Yeah. Yeah. We're like, Trav, they're coming. He fucking plugs his guitar in and puts the amp right in front of the pickups.
Oh,
Use the
man.
Metal Master.
Yeah, yeah. Fucking crank the gain on that bitch up just a hair.
Unplug your noise gate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, I enjoyed it.
I loved it, man. I'm gonna give it a full star. I think
star,
that
though.
like the first one and the second one, direct continuation.
Mhm.
Love the way that this one picked up and showed, day one and everything. I think that it's kind of a perfect little, duality. I don't know. What's a two?
Push my finger into my eyes.
Yeah.
That intro had me.
Yeah.
That
Same.
opening, I was just like, I'm in. And I like how it's like, look, we're not going to explain what these things are because we don't know. But
Yeah.
they're falling from the sky. So that's enough. And then I
Yeah.
was like, okay, that's cool. Like, they're alien.
Yeah.
That's neat. I like that. Because at first, you're just like, what the fuck are these things?
Yeah.
It was just enough.
It was. They didn't over-explain. They didn't under-explain. They carried a mission out. Bad Lieutenant decision. She's like, I'm going by myself. I guarantee you tell mom, you're like, Mom, look, all right, this song is coming from this place that's an island, right?
Yeah.
And, they're broadcasting, so we could probably get there. And like, I guarantee you in this situation, mom's like, let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's better for somebody to scout it
Oh yeah.
before you bring the baby and everybody, and then if they just leave, then Cillian Murphy's he's just gonna stay there.
Yeah, he's like,
he doesn't
"Fuck
get
it."
saved. But by him going
No.
there and seeing it, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is great. I mean,
Yeah.
those people were fucking having a silly goose time,
Yeah, they're
roasting
all
marshmallows and shit. And I'm over here like,
Yeah.
how the fuck they have power? You know?
Yeah, for
Oh.
real, right? Generators.
But great
Yeah,
idea,
full star.
Yeah, full
Yeah.
star, dude.
What you giving it, Trav?
Full star, brother.
Great twosome,
Mm-hmm.
Those are my favorite kind of sums is twosomes,
Very seldom does a sequel come in. I mean, and like I said, man, it's the same movie as part one,
Yeah.
but it didn't. It's been such a while since the first one, and so I guess it has a lot to do with just the state of the world. Probably so much has happened since that first movie dropped a couple years ago that it feels like it's been out way longer than it has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And or at least for me, so returning back to it, even though it's the same, it didn't tarnish it like it probably should have, and probably would for a lot of other films.
Yeah. Yeah. 3 stars, man. It got
Yeah.
the coveted golden fucking hearing aid.
Crying
I will
monkey.
I will say this: the third movie will need to be completely different than both of these,
Yeah, for sure.
or I don't like it, it's.
I don't think they'll do another one.
I mean, dude, a duology would be perfect. We
Yeah.
don't have those anymore.
He didn't even want to make that second one. But when I saw those kids at the end, I was like, well, if there is another one, it would be them. like
Like that
going
whole
out to kill
scene
those
of
things.
yeah,
That
that
thrilled me.
scene of them, fighting them back and laying on the kill, that kind of cemented that like shit's gonna be all right
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh
But
yeah. You want to hit some movie news real quick?
Mm-hmm.
All right. First up, Michael B. Jordan will produce, potentially star in Black Superman limited series for HBO Max. Now, this is something that we have talked about, and we did do like quite a little dip on, several episodes back. But here it says that Michael B. Jordan is now in the DC business. The actor and his production company, Outlier Society, are developing an HBO Max limited series focusing on Val-Zod, a black Kryptonian that holds the mantle of Superman. According to reports, Outlier Society has already tapped a writer to pen the script for the series. Jordan is attached to produce and could potentially star, though the actor has not committed to the role. Val-Zod was the second character to take up the mantle of Superman in DC's New 52 era. After his parents were executed by the Kryptonian court, Val was sent to Earth 2, an alternate universe version of DC's Prime Earth. I didn't know that. I haven't read any of the New 52 stuff. Like, I read some
Well,
of it, but I didn't.
to me that's the movie I want to see
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Michael B. Jordan as Superman.
yeah. I think that would look. I love Michael B. Jordan, right? I think that he is fantastic in pretty much everything I've seen him in, which I haven't seen everything he's ever done, but everything I have seen him in. And I think that, given the right opportunity, he could definitely pull off a Superman role.
I think I could give two shits about J.J. Abrams' Superman, not because of the black actor being Clark Kent, Kal-El, but because I think the the greatest trick pulled on a lot of movie fans in the past 10 years has been the properties that this motherfucker has destroyed.
Damn. Coming in hot with the fucking Trav exclusive. You know what I'm saying?
With
I mean,
with the Abrams hate. Abrams.
I mean, here's my thing. Abrams can
He
make
has
good
fucked some shit
movies,
up though, dude. For sure.
Yeah.
but
Like,
he was well, even if he didn't personally fuck it up, he was the
he
fucking
let it
canary in the
happen.
coal. He was the
Yeah.
canary in the coal mine. And I
Yeah.
think that's not going to change with this, man.
Well, this is Abrams' problem. He starts something and doesn't finish it.
Yeah. He'll get it
Like,
going and then be
yeah.
like, all right, I got fucking 800 other things to go do. He spreads
Yeah.
himself too thin.
Yeah. I mean, all right, look at Star Trek. 1 and 2, great films. Third one, eh. Look at Star Wars. Star Wars, the Force Awakens was great. The Last Jedi was great, but he didn't direct it. He didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
so he has this tendency of like, I want to restart, reboot, or ignite a project, and then I'm going to back away from it in almost every capacity except for producing. And then I'm just going to watch the train wreck from the sideline because it doesn't tarnish his name.
Yeah. Well, I used to be a J.J. Abrams fanboy. Like
Yeah.
anything with his name on it, I was like, it's gonna be good.
Dude,
It's gonna be
I
good.
think his original shit
Yeah.
is great.
And what? Yeah.
Cloverfield, even though
Great
it's
movie.
become what it's become, it's a that first movie's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a fact, like it was
And then,
a fresh
Lost,
take
like
on
everything he
found
had done.
footage.
I was always
Yeah,
like, he can
Lost.
do no wrong. But
I
then
never
stuff started
watched
coming out where I
Alias,
was like,
but
eh. So now I'm like, when they're like, he's making this movie, just because his name's attached to it, I'm not like, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
and
Used to be
and
that
I
way,
can't.
not so much anymore.
Yeah, and I can't be one of those people that try to be like, man, I called it. But I mean, it's a case of hindsight being 20/20 and realizing, hey, there's a common denominator in the problem going on here.
Yeah.
And like I said, while he may not have been the one that creatively did what's been done to some of these franchises, like I said, he was the one, like once you see him taking over it, you're like, man, it's gonna start off strong and then it's gonna teeter off.
Weak sauce.
Yeah.
Because for what the sequel Star Wars movies are, The Force Awakens is as safe of a movie as that was. it was a strong enough start that The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker should have been something completely different
Yeah.
than what we
Oh
got.
yeah. I agree. All right. So, I mean, you guys remember Stephen Dorff,
Of
right?
course.
He's saying that Marshala Ali will be incredible in the Blade reboot. So it says original Blade actor Stephen Dorff may not be impressed with Black Widow, but he still feels that Marshala Ali will be incredible with his debut as a rebooted version of the Vampire Slayer in the MCU. In the first Blade movie that was released in 1996, guys,
Wow.
Dorff stated that the villain Deacon Frost, opposite Wesley Snipes' Blade, Dorff didn't return for the sequel, though Snipes went on to star in the sequels Blade 2 and Blade Trinity. This is what he had to say about it. Marshall will be incredible doing that, but you need strong writing and direction to help elevate that character. And I don't know what Marvel's vision is for Blade. I just know that Marshala is a hell of an actor and that he'll be great in the role. So they were in True Detective together,
Mm-hmm.
which was like arguably better than the first
Yeah,
season.
it was
You
great,
know what I
dude.
mean? Like, yeah. So, and their back and forth, the chemistry that they developed on that show and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and even up to the point where they were old men, like
Yeah,
reconnecting and like,
they
dude, it
were
was a
so good
beautiful
together.
story. Yeah, they really were.
Like I could have done
Um,
another season with them. Like
for sure.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad that, and I'm glad that he's pointing out something that is not so obvious for some people, but obvious to others, where it's like, yeah, Blade is a character that has to be very, very well written.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's easy to make that shit look cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the cool factor for the original Blade canceled out the cheesiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Because this was pre Matrix, this was pre, all that shit. So the cool factor canceled out some of the cheesy factor, even though there was a little cheese in there if you go back and
Well,
watch it
it was
now.
one of the first. I don't know how it is for you guys, but that original Blade movie was a big deal for me because growing up watching monster films, it was weird being able to see a film where, yeah, there's ridiculous vampire shit going on, and there are these big bad things that are just fucking people up, but you have a badass. Because when I watched Blade as a kid, I wasn't tapped into Blade in the comics or anything. So
Right, yeah.
I'm just like, there's this badass fucking vampire slayer movie. Like,
Yeah.
I ain't seen that shit, you
Yeah, it's a
know?
vampire
Yeah.
that kills other vampires.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's like Blade's up there with like the likes of like Mortal Kombat, fucking Rumble in the Bronx. It's just that cluster of action films that that they were my go-tos as a kid, you know?
Yeah. Well, and then as you grow up and like you start reading and seeing Blade do like, Blade was in an episode of the Spider-Man animated series. And then you start to realize like, well, this is a comic book character. It's like, well, how does he fit into it?
Well, when you're old
Um,
enough to start paying attention to opening credits and stuff, and it's like, based on characters from Marvel Comics, you're like, what the
yeah,
fuck? This is a comic book? Like,
yeah,
I even remember there being a small TV show on USA for a while. I never watched it, sadly, but I
yeah.
mean, it seemed to have had a small run, so I assumed there had to be some highs in the show
Mm-hmm.
at least.
I think it got what, 2 seasons? Didn't it debut on Spike?
Yeah, it was on one of those. Yeah, I mean, I think it was formerly USA, and that what Spock became, or did
Uh,
they?
No, they're not
Or did
USA.
I maybe USA branched off and made, Spike was like 4 dudes by dudes or some shit. Like
yeah,
it was real early 2000s, can't get
yeah.
away with that now for sure.
Fuck no. Remember when it was either TBS or TNT had movies for guys who like
It was on
movies.
Spike.
Yeah.
David
Oh
S.
yeah.
Goyer created it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I mean,
I've heard good
13
stuff about it.
episodes. 12.
I've talked my fair shit of Goyer, but I've also at the same time kind of done it from a point of denial because I hate to admit that some of my favorite hero films that motherfucker kind of had his hands on.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, this is and like Feige went on about it when he did the press announcement. Whenever he was doing the whole, hey, here's all the shit you're gonna be buying in the next few years. Um, whenever he went in for, they did an interview where they explained how Blade was Marvel Studios' first production and how they kind of just hedged all their bet on it.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about. Blade like a sea level hero. You
Like
know what
not,
I'm like?
and I mean he's a cool character, but he's not Spider-Man. He's not fucking
The X
an
Men,
X-Man.
Fantastic.
He's none of those people that when you go Marvel Comics, Blade's not really gonna like. I'm sure he is for some,
Yeah,
absolutely, but in the larger majority, a lot of people are gonna not really think of Blade when they think of Marvel.
no, they will
Uh,
soon though when Marshall Ali's in
So
there.
this came out
obviously,
2006.
hardcore people will be into it, but
It's actually got good reviews.
the
The
TV
series,
show.
Yeah,
I
like
might have to
really
revisit
good
that.
reviews. It's
Yeah.
on Tubi for free.
Okay. All right. It might
So,
be on Plex for free soon. FYI.
but it's actually got good reviews.
Hell yeah.
Like on IMDb, Google. Like I
Definitely
didn't
something I
realize it was
wouldn't mind visiting.
2006. See, that's why I didn't even. That was our music playing years there. So
I
Yeah.
just I always
never
remember when I
knew
was
about it.
watching TV during that time that like I always at some point in my channel surfing I'd see a commercial for the next episode of Blade or you should watch it on Spike TV.
I like
Like
the
Yeah.
tagline. It's like Blade, the series. Death is only the beginning.
and I mean
Hit the nail on the head.
I'm sure it's got that early
Oh, I'm
2000s
sure. Well, it's on
camera
Spike.
reel.
You know.
But
Yeah.
if it's got strong reviews,
Yeah, dude. The top review, the guy's like, I'm hooked. He's like, as a big Blade fan, I was skeptical, but after watching several episodes, I'm in.
Hell yeah. May have to check that out, man, for real.
that may have to be a filler show we watch, in between the big shows we review.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so next up, Pierce Brosnan will team up with workaholic star Adam Devine for Netflix upcoming action comedy movie The Outlaws. Devine is also on board to produce with Happy Madison. Tyler Spindle is directing using a screenplay penned by Evan Turner and Ben Zazave. Isaac Horn is executive producing the project. Per deadline, The Outlaws follow Owen Browning, which is Divine, a straight laced bank manager about to marry the love of his life, Parker. When his bank is held up by the infamous Ghost Bandit during his wedding week, he believes his future in laws, who just arrived in town, are the infamous outlaws.
I have a
That
sneaking suspicion here, gentlemen.
they're the they're the outlaws.
Well, I feel like Pierce Brosnan, because he's kind of had a soft comeback in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He did what Gerald's Game for Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I think Pierce Brosnan, especially when you look at the thumbnail that we're looking at in our chat here, um, it's like he's getting all the roles that would normally have been given to Richard Gere had
Yeah.
Gere not went to Gerbiltown.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I think Brosnan's got some pretty good comedic timing, you know?
Well, I mean, I mean,
I mean,
though
dude,
even though he didn't have to do much
Mrs.
because
Doubtfire.
because his his main character that he was supporting could carry it fucking with a
He was
sneeze.
still great.
Yeah, like you know,
Yeah.
he played the not yuppie, but you know what I mean.
Oh, he was a
And he's
yuppie.
British. So next on the docket, Marvel's Secret Invasion is just mere weeks away from filming. Says the Marvel Cinematic Universe's expansion into Disney Plus seems to have hardly begun, and already we have had 3 completed series, an animated What If series about to start, 2 more live action series coming before the end of the year in the form of Miss Marvel and Hawkeye, and the likes of Moon Knight and She Hulk almost done filming. That means that it is time to look even deeper into the Marvel slate of TV shows coming in the near future. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever kicked off shooting earlier this month, and now it looks like the highly anticipated Secret Invasion series is ready to start filming in just a few weeks. A post on Twitter by one of those people who just have that knack of finding things out, Charles Murphy, suggests that Nick Fury's big series will begin filming in the UK in mid August and last through until December. It is noted in the post that this could change if there are any unforeseen circumstances, mostly related to COVID-19 in the UK. But in the grand scheme of things, the current flow of Marvel Disney series shouldn't lead to any delays in this one. The tweet read, I always try to convince people not to get too attached to an exact start date of filming because they do change. However, the time frame will remain the same. As of my last update, Secret Invasion will film from mid-August to December. So, and the one reason that I wanted to bring this up, I mean, Secret Invasion is a big deal, and it's going to be very interesting, like, how that affects everything in the grand scheme of things. But also, Miss Marvel and Hawkeye, we talked about that last week, where those will be coming to Disney Plus this year. And Moon Knight and She Hulk is almost finished, which, if we're going to look at it that way, if we don't get anything Star Wars related, that should be released in early next year.
Hmm.
And then I imagine that Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Secret Invasion will come in the later half of the year next year, which is great because you've got, Doctor Strange, Spider Man, Shang-Chi, the Eternals. There's a lot of stuff happening between now and then. So
Right.
I feel like Secret Invasion is going to set up like the Earth side of things, like Loki set up for the everything side of things. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So I think that would be the perfect series, in my opinion, to be kind of like the way Loki was, where it's like a fucking water droplet ripple effect throughout the whole Marvel,
Well, I'm I'm
universe.
I'm curious as to how Secret Invasion is gonna fit that because Secret Invasion, the big deal about that arc was that the scrolls were emulating some of the Avengers the whole time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what it says on the
And
synopsis
like
is that they're
and one of the
fighting the scrolls.
one of the biggest subplots of Secret Invasion was Iron Man having an identity crisis throughout the whole thing about whether or not knowing he was whether a scroll or a human.
yeah,
And we don't have Iron Man, so that subplot's gone. They'll
yeah,
probably merge it with another character, which is fine. But I don't know. I felt like I guess I enjoyed Secret Invasion to a
Bro,
degree that I wish it had been an over like a lot like it could have been something more of an Avengers themed movie that they build up to.
right.
imagine
I
this
feel
though.
like making the show seems like a downplay of it.
Instead of Iron Man, because you're right, he's not in here. What if it's fucking Nick Fury? Because he's in all
Dude,
6 episodes. Now, what if he was like, man, I might be a fucking scroll?
that would be kind of
Because I,
genius.
I
Because
think
Yeah.
at some point, they're going to have to get rid of him.
right.
Because we're moving on to new people. And then is he going to have his moment where
Well, it did show at the end of one of the films
he
where I
was
can't
on that
remember which one
ship
it
with
was.
him,
Yeah,
hanging
but
out?
Nick Fury was in the show or in the movie, and it was a scroll playing Nick Fury.
Yeah.
So that could be the thing. I'm interested to see. I hope they just don't take the let the air out of it by like focusing on more minor type characters. Because I mean, think about it. The budget that Disney's going to be able to pull because of the success of Loki and Falcon Winter Soldier and WandaVision. Like, yeah, you've got WandaVision, so you get those two characters, which aren't like, that's not Iron Man and Captain America, but still, it's the Avengers, part of the Avengers. Then you get
Yeah.
the same thing with, Hawkeye or with Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I'm hoping that they don't let the air out of it by like trying to make it more focused on lesser. And I hope that they use that as a way to bring in lesser heroes. Don't get me wrong, but I'm also hope that they pick someone to focus on. And there's several people that are already dead. So who could that person be? I mean, it would have to be Thor or um, Ant-Man, or like it's gonna have to be like a tent pole fucking hero.
Well, it could possibly end up because the scrolls are introduced. It could very well be possible that it could end up being maybe Captain Marvel or one of the Marvels
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
not
that'll
giving us the names. We only know
because
Nick
they've
Fury, the names of the other characters. They're doing that thing they do with the shows where they don't tell you who they're playing.
because
yeah,
They
I'm not
have
I'm
cast
not sh-
Christopher McDonald, aka Shooter McGavin.
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be funny.
Yeah,
I want him to say I eat something like you for breakfast or some shit. Some reference to Happy Gilmore. That'd be funny.
6
Um,
episodes.
but I don't know if it's confirmed or not. But I know I've read on various websites and sources and stuff like that. Marvel has like they supposedly they've come out and been like, yeah, Captain Marvel is the new central hero in the Marvel universe now.
Ugh. Did they recast her?
No.
Ugh. All right, I'm moving on.
Mhm.
I mean, this is my thing. Like, I get it, but if you're gonna have Captain Marvel be like the center point of the Marvel universe, then like, all right, she would definitely be able to take Kang out. Like at a point, she would like she's so powerful, man. Like you have to dial her back.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that the introduction of Miss Marvel will kinda push Captain Marvel a little bit to the side, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I always loved Miss Marvel. I thought that she was a great character, and I think that that would be a great direction for them to focus their attention on, in my opinion.
Yeah. And something Marvel, and it was a good article I read about it too, and I agree with it. I wish I could quote it or reference it because it deserves to be read because the dude made a good case for it. But more or less, uh, the Marvel Studios wants us to follow along with the idea that Captain Marvel is the new face of the franchise.
Mhm.
But the reality is that the fans have already picked the new face of the franchise, and it's Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Well,
And
I
I
mean,
think, I mean, and I know, and because his movie is more hyped than the Eternals,
yeah,
Spider Man.
yeah.
I mean, everyone's excited for them, of course, but like it's not like everyone is more than ready to start throwing their money for Doc 2 stuff.
Well, but think about it, man. Like, look at what they were able to do with Iron Man. Before Iron Man came out, like Iron Man was more of like a B hero. They made him an A-list hero by with the films alone.
They made him a tentpole for sure.
Yeah. So the same thing is happening with Doctor Strange. I mean, Doctor Strange has always been someone that shows up, shows out, and then he goes back to the sanctum and fucking drinks tea and fucking wisecracks on people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I agree I agree with that to an extent, but like the reality of Doctor Strange is that for most of his big stuff, he's the guy that they go to for help, and he's like, "This shit's beneath me. Y'all got
Yeah.
this. Go on."
Yeah. Use your brains, not your fucking bronze.
Yeah, and when he does show up, like you said, Griff, he does show the fuck out,
Yeah.
and I would argue that because of what he can do as the Sorcerer Supreme, I think he could beat Captain Marvel because I feel like he's smarter than her.
Oh yeah,
Not
for
because
sure.
it's a woman, but because
Mm,
Captain Marvel's got a Captain. Well, I mean, I know that would be pointed out there.
yeah,
I'm going on just their skill set alone.
that
Yeah.
doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Captain Marvel's more brawn.
Well,
Like,
the
I mean,
MCU Captain Marvel, I'm sure the comic Captain Marvel has a lot more going for the character.
yeah,
But
for
what we've
sure.
seen on screen is that Captain Marvel is essentially Henry Cavill
Yeah.
in the MCU. How
Yeah.
does she destroy stuff? She just goes really fast and goes right fucking through it.
Yeah. This is the thing too, man, like, and I'm gonna just kind of leave it at this. I was really hoping for a very epic Thanos Captain Marvel throwdown. And we
Mhm.
get that for about
We
four
just
and a
get a
half.
game. we get a game of mercy, Griff.
Yeah,
Like
I
we don't
know.
even get that, dude.
Well, I mean, there's nothing. They're gonna have to bring something into the Marvel universe so fucking big that she like something that she can't punch her way through. That is gonna have to convince hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people that like, yes, this is what we want.
Well, she's gonna be limited to more or less like Captain America in terms as it's not her power that
It's
is
her
what makes
ideas.
her. It's her. It's gonna be her ability to lead.
Yeah. Well, and I never like the way that she was presented in the films didn't feel very much like a leader role. It was more like I'm gonna fucking take care of this
Yeah,
shit.
I'll show up
Watch.
at the end and clean
And you
it
know,
up.
and maybe that's what we'll get out of 2.
Yeah,
And we get a character, you know, we get more character development, we get more build up of what she's, you know, because clearly we're gonna end have the movie's not even called Captain Marvel 2 anymore. It's called The Marvels.
yeah,
So it's gonna be all these different people that have some variant of her power ability, and it's gonna be her being the one that's gonna have to figure out how to orchestrate it to where it's not just everyone laser beaming shit to high heaven. And
yeah,
you know, the concept of like the concept of an overpowered hero is not their powers that make them incredible, it's their discipline of not using those powers, you know.
yeah, yeah,
That's where the storytelling should be taking should go when you start getting to those more really fantastic style heroes that are like, you know, laser beams, fucking,
yeah.
you know, people throwing planets at each other, like, you know, the real crazy shit.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna skip over that next article and come back to it at the end. But so Liam Neeson is excited for Seth MacFarlane's The Naked Gun.
Oh,
Says on paper, yeah. We talked about this recently,
he's
right?
perfect for that role.
Yeah. It says on. Did we talk about that in a
We
Dark Knight
mentioned that.
episode?
No, I don't think we talked
This
about it
is
on that.
news. This is news to me.
Well, we
Seth
mentioned that one
MacFarlane
was
is
being made.
remaking The Naked Gun.
We talked
Yeah,
about one was being made,
yeah,
but there was no Liam Neeson attached to it at the time. That was. But we
yeah.
did talk about that they were thinking about making one at one point. For a
Right.
while.
So this is what he had to say about it because, like, the article just goes into, on paper here, and Liam Neeson was potential. Liam Neeson, my bad, was
Yeah,
potentially going to star in a reboot of the Leslie Nielsen movie series, The Naked Gun. It just sounded like something so bizarre it could just work. But this is what he had to say about it. I know Seth and his team are working on the draft. I'm very excited, and I think and hope Seth might be directing it himself. No date has been set. I believe it's Paramount Pictures that approached Seth, and Seth approached me. That was about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. So it'll either ruin my career, whatever's left of it, or I'll find another little adventure. Says that there will be some who see the partnering of Neeson and McFarlane on the Naked Gun reboot somewhat strange to accept as an actual real possibility. However, what needs to be considered is that the pair has worked together on a number of occasions in the past. McFarlane's A Million Ways to Die in the West featured Neeson as the villain, while he also turned up for small cameos in Ted 2 and the series The Orville. For fans of those outings, what could come of this will be something they will be happy to see move ahead. Um, I think that Liam Neeson is the perfect
that's
choice.
great, dude.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think that he is the best choice. I mean, because he can play
Yeah, he
a
can do it.
very. I mean, you watch the Ice Road Trucker movie,
Yeah.
right?
Well, like
Like,
he'll be able to pull off like being serious
yeah, exactly.
and
Yeah,
just ridiculous at the same time. Just
yeah,
he's perfect.
yeah. So, and I think that that's a fucking match made
Like
in
I can't
heaven, man.
imagine anybody else. Like
No,
seeing
no.
that picture of him
Yeah,
and the thing. I got to
right.
think with Naked Gun, dude. And I went and saw the Naked Gun 2.5. Was the first movie I ever saw in the theater. Now I don't remember, and that was like 1991. I don't remember actually watching the movie. What I remember, I have this memory of being at the gas station. This is when people pumped your gas.
Yeah.
And the
I remember.
guy, the old guy that was pumping our gas, asked me, what we were doing, and I was like, "We're going to the theater to see Naked Gun." And he was like, "Naked Gun," like,
Yeah.
"What? You're taking him to see a Naked Gun?" Like he had no idea what it was.
Right.
But that was my first movie, and then like a year later, I went and saw Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, old theater in Scottsboro.
Yeah.
So I got
Yeah.
a thing with Naked Gun, like that was my.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
I was like 4, dude. I
I
just
mean, it's
remember
perfect.
that memory of telling
Yeah.
him that at the gas station, like,
It is. It's a perfect like
"Oh, it's
that.
amazing." Yeah,
Is it's so Three Stooges. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like it's so slapstick hilarious that you just can't help but love it. You know what I
And
mean?
like I'm in trying to replace him in that
It's
series of
gonna be
movies. It's like,
hard.
yeah, that I'm like, well, probably shouldn't do that. But when they're like Liam Neeson, I'm like, hey, I'm all right with that.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
I
all
can
right with
picture
that.
him doing that.
He's running around. Take the fucking elephant.
Yeah,
Just-
like we just watched him in a comedy.
yeah,
You know,
we did. Uh,
that's
so
cool.
Pam, yeah, it is. I'm excited. I loved all of the Naked Gun films. We had, I think it was either 2.5 or 33 and a third on VHS, and we
Yeah,
watched it like crazy. I can't remember which one it was. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for it, man. And as long as they're able to capture the spirit of the original, there's no way that they can go wrong, in
yeah.
my opinion. So next we got Pam Grier joins Pet Cemetery prequel. The only reason
Mm,
I brought this up, it wasn't because of Pam Grier, but it's because
Jackie
of
Brown.
like, why are they making a prequel to Pet Cemetery? Like, so it says Pam Grier is boarded the Pet Cemetery prequel in the works at Paramount Plus. The upcoming movie, which is still as of yet untitled, serves as a prequel to the studio's reboot that was released in theaters in 2019. Not much else has been revealed about the plot, but the prequel will delve into the origin story of the cursed graveyard that brings back the dead as something much more sinister than before. So, Travis,
Mm-hmm.
as our resident king aficionado, do
I
we
wouldn't
need
go that far, but
it? I mean, you've probably read more than we have. I've read a decent amount, but not. But anyway, um, does there need to be a prequel for Pet Cemetery?
no.
Fuck no.
I mean, doesn't the mystique of the fact that the graveyard brings the
Yeah,
fucking dead
we
back to
don't need
life
you to explain
enough?
it.
Yeah,
We get it.
yeah.
So it's gonna take place in that little town. What's his name be coming back? Old dude?
The Trinity Killer,
Yeah,
John
will it be the
Lithgow.
younger
It'll be
version of
a
him? Like when he buries
yeah.
his wife and he figures out that it's got some mysterious power? Or...
I'm calling
Right.
that the twist of the first season,
I mean,
unless they make him even younger.
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I didn't think it needed a reboot, much less a
no,
sequel.
No,
Like I remember watching Pet Cemetery when I was a kid, dude, and it scared me.
yeah,
You know?
I think I've said it before, but like they, the level of disappointment that I was given with the Dark Tower,
No, you ain't never mentioned it.
uh, I could give a fuck about any of this King property. Don't care.
yeah.
Well, dude, with the blow up of it, it's just like they're king crazy.
Oh,
But they
You know what I
can't
mean?
get any of it
Yeah.
right.
The only thing they got right was it.
well, the stand wasn't
No, it
terrible.
wasn't terrible.
Um, I don't. I mean, to me, it feels like if you're gonna adapt, and see, I haven't watched Gerald's Game or what is it, Leslie's story, Lizzie, whatever it's
Or the
called. I
cornfield
know.
one.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't even know that.
I haven't watched any of those, but I'm interested to kind of check that stuff out because it seems to me, I don't know, somebody's mentioned it before. I don't know who it was, but it seems to me that like the best way to adapt King's work is to do it in a television series format,
Yeah.
right? So
So hey, Pet Cemetery TV show would have been great. You know?
they could have got 6 episodes
Yeah.
out of
It's
that.
a little
Well, I
season.
mean,
45.
Where's our fucking Langoliers remake? Where's our Tommy Knockers remake? Where's um where's any of the incredible short stories this motherfuckers wrote? Where are those movies and short films and TV shows?
Dude,
They
I would.
keep going for this low-hanging fruit that's already been done.
Yeah.
He has so much other source material that could become a
Yeah.
really good like adaptation.
Yep.
Like they could turn Night Shift. They could do like they did it one time with one of his collections. They made a series called Nightmares and Dreamscapes.
Yeah.
They could pull another one of those anthologies out again, and they could do Night Shift or Everything's Eventual or any of that kind of shit. Like there's so many good things they could make, and they just don't. They just opt not to. No,
I
we're just gonna
Oh,
we're just gonna
well,
pull a prequel for Pet Cemetery out of our
here's
ass.
why. That movie, when they made the 2019 one, it cost them $21 million to make, and it made $100 million
yeah.
opening
Well, that's
weekend. That's why.
yeah.
That's why they're doing another one. It's low hanging, easy money.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they know if they make it, date night will go out and watch it. You know,
Yeah.
get their money and then move on. They're not worried about like upholding King's legacy here.
No.
It's
Like
just a quick
there's
cash grab. Like,
there's
why
a
are they
short
making
story.
another? There's fucking Paranormal Activity 7 just wrapped shooting. 7.
Yeah. I think that Trav's idea is perfect. I mean, look at, they brought the Twilight Zone back. Look at how Black Mirror is doing on Netflix. I think that if you take directors and actors and you just make all of his short stories, and you could
Oh,
call
that
it
would be
something
good.
different. Yeah, you could call it something different, but you could pull short stories from everything
Yeah.
that King has written as a short story. All that stuff that was published in magazines really early on, all the way up until his books that was released that was full of short stories. It's a never-ending well. They could get so many seasons out of a lot of that stuff.
One of my favorite short stories by him is a short story called "I'm the Doorway," and it's a great body horror story about an astronaut went out to space, got some space funk, brought it back to Earth. Death becomes him. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
Yeah,
and like, there's just so many cool things that they could do with some of his work.
yeah. All right. Well, next up we have James Gunn wants to make a Western using the cast of the Suicide Squad. Could a Western movie be in the cards for James Gunn? Early next month, Gunn's newest movie, The Suicide Squad, will be simultaneously released in theaters and on HBO Max. Later this year, Gunn will make his switch back to Marvel Studios from DC Films to begin production on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, along with a holiday special for Disney Plus. Admittedly, getting a little bored of the superhero movie genre, Gunn teased the possibility of doing a Western. So, in a recent interview with the Irish Times,
Hmm.
James Gunn spoke about the Suicide Squad and the current state of superhero movies. Gunn fears that despite how popular these kinds of movies are now, it's just a matter of time before people grow tired of them and the genre tapers off. As explained in the interview, the Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad director points to what happened with cowboy movies and war movies
Hmm.
as what could be next for comic book movies.
Yeah.
We know about the way cowboy films went and the way war films went. I don't know. I think you don't have to be a genius to put two and two together and see that there's a cycle to those sorts of films. And and that the only hope for future of the comic book and superhero films is to change them up. They're really dumb and they're mostly boring for me right now. While Western movies are not as popular with general audiences as they used to be, Gunn is personally a fan of the genre. In fact, he's even hoping to make a Western himself at some point in his career, even if cowboy movies aren't what is in 2021. Taking to Twitter to expand upon his comments about cowboy movies, Gunn admitted that he still hopes to direct a Western, and he'd be just as willing to bring back the cast Suicide Squad for the project. This is what he said. Despite all of this, I still really want to do a Western, and I'd happily use the entire cast of the Suicide Squad again. I haven't watched Suicide Squad. Trailers look great. I'm interested to check it out. I
Is it
think it's going to
out?
be a nice. No, it comes out in August, like
Okay.
early August. Yeah.
I think it's gonna
But
be good.
I think it's going to be really good
Dude,
in a
they already
goofy way
spun off the Peacemaker
into his
into an
own
eight
series, right?
episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and when you watch the trailer, he steals it. Dude, remember not too long ago we watched something and we were talking about it like westerns, man.
Yeah.
Like like when you said like I remember when I watched Django, I'm like they
Yeah.
need to bring this back. Like
Yeah.
this kind of movie making here. You go back and watch the classics. Even the Hateful Eight was it's a western pretty much. It's
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but I'm all for that. I don't know about the
Mm-hmm.
cast, but I think he could make he would make a good western. There'd be a little comedy sprinkled in there, but
Well, that's the thing.
um
If he approaches it with his mentality,
yeah.
I think that it could be a really good kind of a throw you on your head with the Western genre. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I mean, a lot of Westerns, they may be comedies to a fault, but at some point there's the inevitable shootout,
It
and all
gets
this kind
serious,
of,
people die.
yeah, it gets real tropey in a very Western kind of way. But I think that, if he's going to be the one that comes back and does another Western and just injects it full of his comedy, even to the point where like the shootouts are ridiculously over the top,
Mhm.
I would I would like to see him do this. You know how steampunk's a thing?
Yeah.
We'll do like Western style steampunk,
Mhm.
like steampunk aesthetic in the old West,
Yeah.
and then
But
inject
motherfucker
his
have
comedy.
balloon ships that are flying around and
Yeah,
it's a little wild wild west at the same time.
yeah. I mean, why not?
But it
So
has been, they had a large blow up in the 90s,
yeah,
early 90s, large western blow up.
hmm
Made a bunch of great westerns. We just watched one,
yeah,
for our Sam Raimi month. I think that'll happen again. I
yeah.
think
I
it'll
think
cycle
so.
back around. We're looking at like 20, 30 years, and then you'll just get these, bangers.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, it's the people that grew up on the westerns of the '90s. Like, think about it. The kids that grew up on the westerns of the '70s
yeah,
ended up making the westerns in the '90s.
exactly.
The kid,
Yeah.
yeah, the kids
Yeah.
that grow
20,
up,
30 years later, you're getting old enough to make a movie.
yeah.
You grew up
So
watching Young Guns, Tombstone,
yeah,
Quick and the Dead.
and yeah, and that's like in, let's say that like if what he's saying, and we've talked about this, but if what he's saying is correct, where superhero movies are going to start to taper off and trend down a little bit, then within 20 to 30 years, let's say that it starts to happen in the next 10 years, 20 to 30 years from there, there'll be another revival of Marvel and
Yeah.
DC. I don't think it's ever going to go away.
No, but the kids
Not
that
like
grew up
westerns.
watching it,
Yeah,
then
they're
they'll
going to
be old
have,
enough to and they were sitting there watching it like, man, why they do it this way? It'd be better this way.
yeah,
Well, then they grow up to be filmmakers, and they're like, dude, I grew up watching all this shit.
yeah.
I
So I'm
lived it,
gonna,
you know.
yeah. So it makes sense. And if he decides to do a western, I'm definitely going to check it out.
Well, what's the thing with like the comic book movies and the way they do movies, action movies now, like everything's so fast. The camera's
Yeah,
all over the place. Everything's just boom, 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 boom.
yeah,
When you throw that western in there, camera's sitting there. They're just
yeah.
not high action scenes. Like you get a little
No,
bit of that in a shootout, but
yeah,
it slows down. You
right.
can really take it in.
I'm interested in watching that western on Netflix that has Idris
Yeah,
Elba,
dude.
and that
The
shit
one where they
looks
break
good.
him out of the train.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I would be very interested in checking that out. Um, all right, I want to run this by. I'm going to go through the list, and y'all say yay or nay. All
Okay.
right, 13 greatest horror sequels ever made,
I,
right?
I mean, look. Here's the thing. Like, we're not making our own list here. I'm just gonna tell you if I like the movie or not.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, tell me,
Because there's
tell me.
movies I don't think should be on this list.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, greatest.
yeah. Exactly.
But
So
what's
tell,
here, I'll vote
yeah.
on.
So I'm going to go through it. You guys tell me if it deserves to be on the list or not, and then we'll go from there with it. Evil Dead 2.
I think it deserves to be on the list.
I mean,
It's
a
on the list, you know?
Yeah, yeah, right. 2018 Halloween.
Which one is this? Who directed this?
This is the Danny McBride
Yes.
one. All right. Hot Fuzz.
I like Hot Fuzz. Is this a horror movie?
Some people consider it.
To me,
It's
dude, it's
part
just a
of.
straight up comedy.
Yeah, me
I just
too. But
don't.
it's part.
I don't hate. I like that movie. I
Yeah.
own that movie,
Yeah.
but I don't think it belongs on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's
Well,
I
it
have a
says
technicality here.
it says that it's the spiritual sequel to 2004 Shaun of the Dead and is officially the second installment of the Three Flavors Cornetto
Yeah.
trilogy. Hot Fuzz is a 2007 horror action comedy directed by Edgar Wright and co-written by Wright and Simon Pegg.
So that's a little different. Now IMDb tells you it's action comedy mystery.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a sequel to the other movie.
Yeah. Spiritual successor, yeah.
Oh, is that the word they used?
Yeah.
And what movie was it? Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah, yeah.
Now Shaun of the Dead, great movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it's not a horror movie, it's a comedy.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I know to say.
Yeah. The Purge Anarchy.
That's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah.
Greatest? I haven't even seen it, but I can tell you that it's not. Wait, maybe I saw this. I think I saw the first two. But after that, I was like, had enough of that.
Yeah, right.
But no, it doesn't belong on any list with greatest in the title.
Yeah. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I liked it.
I loved it.
Yeah. So yeah.
Aliens.
Of course.
I mean, come on.
That should have been at the top.
Yeah, yeah. Dawn of the Dead.
I like Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, great film. Final Destination 3.
I don't know if I watched it. Wait a minute, 3?
Yeah.
Is that a sequel? I know it's a sequel, but to me, when you say sequel, it's the second.
The direct sequel. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I've seen that one.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen that.
I think, I watched the first two. That's usually how far I go.
Yeah.
You know, saw the first two Saw movies. You know, I just saw the first two Fast and Furious. Didn't watch the one with Tokyo drifting, you know?
Yeah.
I just say the first two, and I'm like, after two, if you don't know if you like it or not.
Yeah.
I was wrong about Saw, though. I went back and revisited some Saw stuff and the traps on these YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And I would like to watch the rest of them after seeing the traps and the story and stuff.
We'll have to...
I don't want to turn it into a job. But I do want to go back and revisit the rest of Saw.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. 28 Weeks Later.
This was after 28 Days?
Yeah.
You know, man, I know I watched this movie, but it just seems like I just forgot about it. I saw this movie for sure. I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about it. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
I know I really liked the first one.
Yeah.
But I think I was a little, I don't know. There was something, I think the second one kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Diminishing Returns.
Well, it was 2007, and I don't, you know what I mean? That's how long it's been. Now, I've seen the other one.
Yeah.
But that second one, I can just remember being like,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say? I don't know where Trav's at.
Yeah, where are you at, Trav? 28 Weeks Later, one of the greatest horror sequels ever made.
Nah, man.
Yeah. I can barely remember it, which tells me that's why I'm over here like, I can't even remember that movie, so I don't think it was good.
Right, yeah. The Conjuring 2.
I haven't seen it. Now, I heard y'all say the first one was good. And I think that's what you said. The first one was good. The second one,
Second one's okay. Still want to watch the third one. Haven't watched it yet.
I think here's what bothered me about The Conjuring, the first one. Like, I heard you say it was good, but then I saw like all this stuff that was born all these little
Yeah.
movies that were, you know what I mean, that came from it. Like this Annabelle
Yeah.
came from that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm over here like, come on, you know?
Yeah. Scream 2.
I think I only liked the first one. I don't know if I remember
I'm
what happens in the second one.
um
In the first one,
takes
you find out it was the damn cop, right?
well, the first one was the
The boyfriends.
boyfriend
So the second
and
one wasn't the
fucking
cop.
Shaggy. I think
Because remember
so.
that one movie with Officer Doofy? They made fun of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Because at the end, you find out it's Courtney Cox and the cop,
yeah.
right? I
Yeah,
don't
it's
see. I
been
don't
so
know,
long.
dude.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man.
1997.
Yeah, I know. The
Well, that's
other
why I
one's
don't remember. Trav,
2007.
does it
Yeah,
belong? I mean, not on the greatest. The greatest of all time?
Well, Scream 2?
Yeah.
yeah.
Nah, man.
I mean, Scream. I don't Scream. Even like if you're like 13 of the best horror movies of all time, Scream's not even on that one. It's like,
Yeah. Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors.
I have to look it up to see if I remember.
This was the one where they were all in the
This came out the year I was born.
yeah. This Dream Warriors was the one where they were in that like insane asylum type deal with troubled children, and they all would like have powers in their dreams and shit. They
I'm
kind of
not pulling it.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Trav,
What?
Dream
Dream
Warriors.
Warriors.
I'm not pulling. This movie came out 33 years ago, dude. I'm not.
That shit had some crazy like practical effects, if I
Because they had
recall.
powers.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I
Rounding it up, Quiet Place 2.
Horror movie? I guess so.
mean, third
Cosmic horror, right?
yeah.
That's what we're on now. Yeah, I liked it.
Lovecraft. Yeah.
I mean, my list would probably look different, but
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
it'd take a long time too. But yeah, it's good.
Here's what's weird.
Might even be better than the first one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I really like that first one a lot.
Yeah, it's good.
Here's what's weird though. Like, they could have put any of the Friday the 13th films on there.
Mm-hmm. And they went with
Because
that one?
like, no, they didn't go with any of them. That's my problem
Oh
because
wait,
like,
there is no Jason.
yeah, Jason wasn't born until the sequels. I mean, he was born, but he wasn't the character that he is until the sequels came out. So like,
Yeah,
why
but
wouldn't they-
why is Final Destination on here?
yeah,
And
exactly.
Jason, you got Freddy,
Yeah,
you got Michael Myers, and there's no
Yeah.
love for Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I think that the next generation should have went on the list
Yeah,
for sure.
there's no love for that, and
Yeah.
fucking Jason.
Yeah,
That's the Holy Trinity. All
Yeah.
four of them, like
I don't know, man.
Final Destination.
Who wrote this article? Let's scroll up here. Matthew Watkins. Matthew,
tweeting
you're
him.
wrong. Yeah, you're fucking wrong, Matthew. Get the fuck out.
No love. He probably didn't like them. And
Well,
it's
dude,
like, well, maybe he's too young. It's like young. He picked fucking Warriors, Dream Warriors. It's like he's seen them.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I found him on Twitter.
are you
I'm
gonna
gonna
tweet him?
light his ass up, dude.
Do it from the
I'm
broadcast.
not. No,
fucking
dude.
Twitter.
I found him now. I'm bookmarking him. I'll be back later.
You gonna
Matthew
investigate?
Watkins. I'm
Yeah,
getting him
right.
canceled.
Do it for a terrible list.
Yeah. He's like, why have you done this to me? My wife left me. I lost my job. My dog won't even come to me anymore when I call him. And I'm like, you're fucking terrible ass top 13 horror sequels.
Yeah, get the fuck out, dude.
Then he kills me.
Oh God. Then we have to avenge you, dude.
Nah, dude.
Me and Trav become the Avengers.
Just delete
I'd
my
avenge.
browser history.
Dude,
we're straight.
I'm running a fucking magnet over every piece of technology you
Yeah.
own. That's what's happening. Me and Trav's gonna go in there with those magnets that you have to plug into the wall.
Yeah.
Those electro powered magnets.
Y'all gonna
Yeah.
Breaking Bad me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's
Because that's how
happening.
that shit works.
Yeah, yeah, right. What got him the rice? And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Somebody's been watching.
Get the magnet in here.
Where's Hank at? Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all the movie news that I saw this week, guys. That about sums her up for me.
I'm getting my
Getting
cables
your
and
base
cords.
station. So, like, let's just brainstorm for a second here, and you don't have to answer it now if you don't want to. But if you had to pick like the greatest sequel to a horror film ever, what is your?
I'm gonna need more time, man. I can't. I mean, there's just so many to choose from.
Yeah, I know.
It's hard to like, and it's like you're not saying it's your favorite movie of all time.
No.
But a sequel.
Yeah.
Of all time.
Yeah, of all time. I mean, I've got mine already.
You already know it? If you already know it, let it flow.
Mine is definitely, and everybody may think this is a fucking cop out. I don't give a fuck. Okay, I love it. Aliens.
Yeah, I mean it's great.
I love the Alien film, and I think the Aliens took everything that Alien did good, and just amplified it.
Oh yeah, it was bigger and better.
I mean, it's like Terminator 2.
I was about to say that. Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking it's T2, man. Like you're sitting there watching Terminator and you're like, it's kind of cool idea. And then you see the second one, you're like, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
What do you think, Trav? Dude, Evil Dead 2 though. That's a real close contender.
But to me, it's a comedy.
Well,
especially more so the second one than the first one.
Yeah, it's kind of a comedy horror.
First one was like had some funny moments, but it wasn't no goddamn comedy.
No.
Not after what that tree